Good morning, everybody. Just a quick update. We actually don't have lithium. It's a theoretical project, our source rock project, but I'll discuss it all with you now, and hopefully you see it as exciting as we are. I wore my yellow shirt today to try and cheer up the miserable day outside, and it doesn't seem to be working yet, so hopefully the sun will shine later on today. Lithium and nickel, indispensable to our lives. Everybody's carrying them right now. We've all got cell phones. All of our batteries have lithium and nickel in them. So these are things that we need to live with. This is not something that we are just going to drop anytime soon. I'll challenge anybody out here to take the 7-week challenge and live without a cell phone. It's probably impossible to do today. How many of you own an EV? Anybody? This works. There's two people? Okay, 3. Well, that's all going to change. You know, with a lot of the mandates that we're seeing government-wise, we're being pushed to go to EVs. So if you look at the graph here, this is value of battery metals. Lithium's taken off since 2021. That correlates perfectly with the increase in EV production and EV sales. This is the reality. This is the future, and this is the peak. This is the start of a massive inflection curve. Yeah, the price of lithium is down. Really? No, the price of lithium's up. The price of lithium is up. We're going to see more lithium demand. Lithium demand over the next 15 years is slated to just, again, skyrocket, or almost 10x demand lithium from what we're seeing now today. So as EVs continue to get pushed, we will see more lithium. Where's it going to come from? It comes from hard rock. Everyone here is pegmatites. That's the hard rock traditional mining sense of lithium. There's also claystone, very similar to hard rock, but then there's also brine, some salty waters. Chris was out here with the first talk from E3 Lithium. They've got a brine project in Alberta. That's the type of stuff that could revolutionize the whole lithium industry. Source Rock Project. It's located in northwestern Ontario, specifically on the northwestern side of Lake Superior. This is the project in its outline, and it is huge. It is 95 kilometers long, about 10 to 20 kilometers wide. We're in the right jurisdiction. We're in the Thunder Bay area, which has, Thunder Bay itself has over 100,000 people, and the area itself has over 100 years of mining history. So it's not developing something new within an area that has no history behind it. Trans-Canada Highway, 5 minutes away from the project. Power line, natural gas, cuts right through the project. Deep sea port, that could be reestablished right by the project. Infrastructure is all there. Now there's a lot of comparisons that I can also make to Chile's Salar de Atacama, which is the second largest lithium producing jurisdiction in the world, all from brine, from fluids. It's not a hard rock mining environment. That's the Salar de Atacama. Note both of these are to scale. You can kind of see the scale on the bottom there. This is all from Google Earth. Also notice how northwestern Ontario is nice and green. This is the main salt belt in the green circle and shown on our source rock project for size. Now if you were to fold the top and southern ends of source rock, they would fit nicely in the green area. So that's what I mean. Our project is huge. This project has the same aerial extent as the main central salt belt in the Salar de Atacama. And if you see where the current lithium production is being extracted from, it fits right nicely within our project area. So if our thesis is true and source rock does in fact contain lithium brines, we could have a huge, potentially globally important lithium project on our hands. This is the typical salar geological model where your source rocks are variable. You get source rocks from pegmatites down below, you get a hydrothermal solution, glacial melt, and everything runs off into a lake. Then the water evaporates, with sodium being the first to precipitate out, sodium being typical salt, table salt, leaving behind lithium, potassium, and those typically evaporate and form as well. However, what we are looking for is down here. We're looking for lithium within the fluids, within the sandstones down here. And because we're looking at brines, we'd be looking at direct lithium extraction, DLE. It's not a new concept. It has been around for a while. It shares a lot of similarities with a number of other type of commodities, rare earth, oil and gas, uranium with ISR, ISL operations. The only thing is with DLE, it has to be tailored to each individual project. It's not a turnkey thing. You can't just say, oh, I'm just going to do DLE on my lithium brine project. No, you got a lot of refining to do and take out some of the contaminants. So there is some processing, but we are starting to see the beginnings of commercialization. In the past 2 months, I do believe, there have been 4 successful lithium brine DLE extraction stories. So it is happening. This is not something new. And the beauty of these things is that they do have small footprints, potentially lower operating costs, and high purity recovery. Meaning you can typically get the lithium concentrations that you need, 3 nines, 4 nines, 99.9% purity. That's what we want to see, and so lithium brines have that potential to extract that high purity lithium that we need for batteries. More contaminants in a battery, well, the less operable they are. Based on the USGS, they have a criteria for developing lithium brine. Source rock meets all of those. The one I will point out the most, though, is sufficient time to concentrate a brine. This project area is in a billion-year-old sandstone basin. There's lots of time for the fluids to leach out lithium from any of the rocks within there. It was historically drilled as recently as 2006, but they were looking for uranium, of all things, thinking that it was similar to the Athabasca Basin. And you can see the salt on the core. Like that's impressive. You don't get that. If you went into the ocean and walked out, you would not be covered in salt like this. So right away, you can tell these fluids are salty. I would assume, based on other places I know, that this would be at least 20% salt. Yes, they were exploring for uranium. Never found uranium. They flew a lot of EM surveys, and the results from the EM surveys is that there was a laterally extensive EM anomaly, and they figured that it was due to saline fluids and faults. But nobody followed up the idea that there could be lithium brines in this area. Not until now. So we will be the first company following up lithium brine exploration in this billion-year-old sedimentary basin. As I mentioned, we've completed our land acquisition, about 912 square kilometers. It's a big project. I can't emphasize that enough. We've completed all of our consultation, but it's not really complete. It's always ongoing, but we are very happy with all the consultation we've completed and all the feedback we've received from the nearby communities that we'll be working with. We do have exploration permit in hand. Data compilation still ongoing. Diamond drilling is weeks away, so we're very excited about that. We've got everything planned and ready to go. We're going to be sampling all of the reservoirs, all of the the water-bearing reservoirs, the entire length of the drill holes. We're drilling down to about 500 meters of sedimentary rocks, so that's 500 meters of potential lithium-rich fluid reservoirs. So it's a thesis right now, but we do hope to prove it true. Yeah, and you get salt everywhere. You get salt formed in beds in the rocks. You get salt incrustations on the core. Typically, when you've got high concentrations of total dissolved solids, you've got high concentrations of lithium. They typically go one to one, but that's not always a guarantee. Nature is kind of cruel and does throw some curveballs, but we're hoping for this project that remains true. So that's our source rock project. Big potential for lithium. Going to quickly switch over to our nickel project in Manitoba. It's in the Thompson Nickel Belt, which is one of the world's largest nickel producing jurisdictions in the world. Falconbridge used to have a mine here where they mined about 1.3 million tons at 2.5% nickel, very high-grade nickel. There's a potential for numerous multi-million ton high-grade deposits on this project. And we drilled the first drill program on this as the operators last year. We completed 12,500 meters, 100% drill hole success rate, where we intersected visible nickel, copper, cobalt sulfides, 100% drill holes. And that was over a kilometer strike length, 800 meters depth. So anywhere in between that. So it's already proving to be a robust system. 34 to 36 drill holes reported over 1% nickel percentage over variable widths, and mineralization remains open in all directions. If you look at some of our results here, 86 meters at 0.65. I will note that for all of these calculations, we use a cutoff grade of 0.3% nickel. There's a lot of nickel projects out there today that use no cutoffs, and they will smear the widths. We could possibly do that too. If we went down to 1,000 ppm or had no nickel cutoff, we could have hundreds of meters of probably over 0.5% nickel. So it's a rich nickel project. My favorite, though, being 36.5% at 1.09% nickel. There's not many results that are better than that coming out of other projects globally, and that's over the last 12 months. That's one of the best nickel drill intercepts to this date of higher grade nickel. Just looking at some of the cross sections, and you can see where the composites are. So again, that would include some of the cutoff grades. But if we reduce our cutoff grades from reporting standards, we can link all of this together and it becomes a much larger zone. 0.86% over 51 meters is not a small number. That is a rather significant nickel hit. So as I mentioned, we drilled 1,000 meters on strike, 800 meters on depth. This is the old mineralized shell. We drilled up in a lot of this area. We did a lot of tight space drilling because we wanted to learn the geology. And in doing so, we have identified that there is a route of high-grade mineralization occurring something like this. That is fold controlled. That was the whole thesis behind our drill program, and we've proven it true. Now that has a lot of similarities with what was mined previously. And with the fold control that we see happening in the rocks, we can start imagining that there are multiple folds throughout this entire system. And when you start envisioning the possibility of this, if each of these are 1 million tons of over 1% nickel, I've got 10 pods on here, you've got a 10 million ton project with over 1% nickel. Again, not a small number. That's quite lucrative in the nickel space. That's only 1 kilometer of the potential strike length we have. We've got at least 3 to 4 kilometers strike length of high-grade nickel on this project. Speaking of high-grade nickel, and again, 3 kilometers northeast of the area that I just showed you, you're seeing grades of 4.5% over 2 meters. All of these are within 100 meters from surface. 3%. There are some exceptional high-grade nickel within this entire system. But now that we have a better understanding of what the geology is and what the structural controls are on higher grades of mineralization, we feel much more confident that we can find these root systems and start to develop a much larger picture. So mineralization remains open in all directions. We will be targeting higher grades in future drill programs. However, we still think that the lower grade envelope that surrounds everything is still very lucrative, as it is at a higher concentration than some of the nickel mines that we see today. So overall, we are targeting at least 15 million tons at 0.6% nickel, and I think that is highly achievable. We are permitted for 100,000 meters. We've only drilled 12,500 so far, up until December 31st, 2025. So we've got a lot of room to grow. We're permitted. We've got a great project. Currently, we're at about 4 cents a share. Market cap's around that $3.5–4 million. We do have cash in the bank that is reserved for a drill program and to keep us going. This drill program should be, for the Source Rock Lithium project, should be starting in December. So we're not too far away. 88 million shares outstanding, so we still have a very tight share structure. That's who we are. Great bunch of guys. We do a lot of good work. Not a lot of us have hair. I've decided to grow mine just for that reason. Or a group of companies, 6 different companies, all merged into one. You'll see talks from American Eagle Gold later on today and ORCAP right after lunch. I suggest you hang around for both of those. They are very exciting talks. I'm also CEO of Baseload Energy, as Anthony mentioned, uranium exploration. So if anybody has a taste for uranium or nuclear energy, please come and find me. I'm in the back room over there. I love talking uranium. I love talking nickel lithium. Thank you very much.